They said you were the best in the Parsec.
Welcome to
Parsec Passion, a podcast covering Star Wars television shows on Disney+. This week we're covering Cassian Andor. Andor, Season 2, Episodes 4 through 6. My name's Bubba, and with me just this week is someone who huffs more Redonium than Saw Gerrera. It's Double M Matt Murdock!
I mean, didn't I just retire like 5 days ago? What's going on, Bubba? I'm happy to be here. Thanks. Unfortunately, I got to fill in for Catfish because he has obligations abroad, and I'm happy to be here. Can't wait. I mean, I'm pumped to the gills with this with these 3 episodes. They're fantastic.
It's going to be real exciting. Again, guys, we are going to give out our most valuable Rebel, our most valuable Imperial. We're going to say Andor, what's that secret you're keeping? We're going to dive into all of your feedback. Plus, we're going to break down in every detail Episode 4. Ever been to Ghorman? Episode 5, I have friends everywhere. And Episode 6, what a festive evening. Matt is filling in very kindly for Catfish, who act a bit like actor Jimmy Smits. We couldn't get it to work this week. Catfish should be back next week, but that means you've got a big hole to fill, Matt. What rating are you going to give to this second arc of Andor Season 2?
Yeah, I'm going to fill that that hole with as many points as I possibly can. I'm giving this 9.6 out of 10, what I like to call quadruple Bs.
Wait, quadruple Bs?
Yeah, that's Benjamin Bratt bail backups.
Whoa.
It's like you said, there was no Jimmy Smits playing Bail Organa. And look, I got nothing against Benjamin Bratt. Great actor. He was fantastic. He only had 2 lines. It didn't like ruin the continuity of anything for me, but it is what just took the 0.4 off. Otherwise, I'd have given this thing a 10.
Wow.
I mean, I can't rate anything lower than a 7, but it was just fantastic stuff. A great buildup. I got invested in every facet of every story. It's fantastic. The music was amazing. Just everything. Saw Gerrera's whole thing with Wilmon at the end of Episode 2. I was just riveted, man. I mean, that was fantastic. And then, of course, the whole ending of the arc with Bix and Cassian just literally blew my building apart.
Well, Matt, 9.6 out of 10. That is incredible. I'm not going to go this high, and I'm worried.
I was just surprised that you're not going to go this high. What's wrong with you, Bubba? You're always so high on every episode.
I know. Let me say that this made me think maybe I'm basic in that our heroes that I love, like Brasso and Cinta, I love those characters. And so far through Season 2, they are not getting heroes' deaths. You know what I mean? Earlier in one of the episodes, Bix says, hey, if I'm going to do this, I want to make sure we win. And sadly, Brasso and Cinta, their deaths really didn't have anything to do with winning. Brasso was running. Cinta was a tragic mistake. And I get that tragedy, but it's sometimes just hard to watch characters we love make sacrifices that don't seem to pay off in great moral victories, go out like a hero. And so I feel bad that knocked down my rating to 8 double G's out of 10.
Double G's?
Double G's stands for the one of the many fist pumping moments I had. Gorst gone. Gorst is gone. I loved that moment so much, Matt, just like you did. Like I said, Cinta's death, Brazos' death, I need some fist pumps, and this was a big fist pump. Gorst gone, it's great. So I'm admitting that it's real tough being in this rebellion as a fan. I want them to succeed, and even though Kleya got her bugging device back, there is no victory on Ghorman. It is a loss in a lot of ways for our heroes. But I still went 8 out of 10. Why? Because there's so many moments. It was almost like the moments made more than the destination. The journey made more than destination. Edie with her hair in a dryer, 10 out of 10. Tense action. So good. But the kind of almost bummer I feel sometimes in some of these stories 8 out of 10. We listeners, we love to say, who cares what we think? Nobody should care. We want to know what you think. Your opinion is just as valid. If you have a thought, if you're watching on YouTube, go down in the comments. Let us know. We want to know your rating for these 3 episodes. We're going to ask a lot of questions. We want to hear your answers to them. If you're listening on audio podcast, we are on all social media platforms at double PHQ. That's the word double, single letter P for podcast, HQ for headquarters, at double PHQ. Now, if you know anything about Catfish and I, our very first podcast, the Joffrey podcast, was born from Matt, your podcast Winterfell, covering Game of Thrones. And so it's very fun that you're here, Matt, because 2 very famous Game of Thrones characters appear in these 3 episodes. Mirri Maz Duur, the Lamb Witch, as she's known in the first season, she's in these episodes. And then from the final season 8 of Game of Thrones, we have the Golden Company captain, Harry Strickland. Did you recognize them, Matt? Do you notice them when they appeared in these Andor episodes?
Until I saw your little note here in our doc, I really didn't. But I went back and I looked. Let me see if I got who they were.
Okay.
The one was the custodian for Skalden.
That's right. The woman who was custodian. I was watching the episode and I was like, I know this actress. How do I know this actress? And so I had to go look it up and I was like, that's Mirri Maz Duur.
Harry Strickland was the traitor that Saw Gerrera shot, right?
Saw Gerrera shot Harry Strickland in his face. Okay. Captain Harry Strickland, his death was almost as bad as this guy's death. Both anticlimactic. Way to go out, this actor. Very good. Hey, on our Andor episodes, we love to start our podcast with quick questions, just kind of quick things to jump into the series, jump into our discussion. So, Matt, what is your first quick question for these 3 episodes?
I mean, don't you just want to attend every party that Mon Mothma goes to?
Because yes.
The music is just a series of bangers.
Yes.
Actually, my real question is, you've talked about these deaths, and it is a bummer, but the way I kind of liken it to is like how many guys never even got to the shore on B-Day.
Man, Matt, yes.
And so when these kind of almost pointless things happen, it's the fact that they were there that you're supposed to take inspiration from. It's the fact that Luthen understands this bigger picture.
Man,
it's the thing that you're supposed to take from that, or at least that's what I took from it. But I get your frustration because I want to see all of my heroes go out in a blaze of glory too.
Yeah, if they're going to die, I want them to, go out in a blaze of glory. You're exactly right.
So we happen to know that there aren't a whole lot of these characters that we see in Rogue One.
No.
So does that mean that they're going to get away from the screen still alive and we just never see them again in the mythology? Or does it mean that we're going to lose them? And if so, who are we going to lose? What do you think?
Okay, so we are, believe it or not, at the halfway point of season 2 already.
Wow.
And in my mind, we've really only lost 2 kind of big characters in the show, in Brasso and Cinta. And my apologies to Tay Colma and Dr. Gorst. Sorry, guys, you didn't make the cut. So to me, of what I would call the main core cast that could possibly die in the next 6 episodes, I made a list. Bix, Wilmon, Luthen, Kleya, Vel, Perrin, Lita, Lonnie, Partagaz, Dedra, Syril, Edie. I would say there's only one of those that I think is guaranteed to live. And this is a salute to our missing host Catfish. It's Edie. There's something to be said for being so insignificant that no one would kill you. So I'm giving it up to Edie being the only one of all those characters that live for the rest of the season. All right, Matt, it's your question, but you have to answer it.
Yeah.
In these remaining 6 episodes, which of these characters is going to get got?
Also, in tribute to Catfish, I will say Luthen, he gone.
Ouch.
Kleya, she gone.
Oh.
Bix, she gone.
Yes.
We'll just start there. That's a big enough list. They're all going to hurt. That's for sure.
That's true. That's true. Listeners, who do you think is going to survive if any of these characters survive in season 2? Who do you think is going to be gone in this next 3-episode arc? Do any of these Ghormans last too long, you would wonder? Oh, boy. Okay, well, Matt, now I got a quick question for you. You ready?
Okay.
Luthen, let's be honest. Luthen is all rebellion all the time. Your feelings? I don't care. Oh, wait. You said join or die, and now you're like, well, I got to care about Bix. Spy Lonnie, we know he was finding out about Dr. Gorst, his procedure going mainstream. And so theoretically, in my own head canon, Lonnie reported to Luthen. Luthen said, report to me more often. Luthen found out about Dr. Gorst, and that light flashed on the top of the building, meaning Cassian had a new mission. Now, Bix theoretically wasn't supposed to come, but is there a chance, do you believe, that Luthen gave Cassian Andor this mission because, hey, this is Gorst and they need to take him out for Bix safety? Like, was Luthen doing Cassian a Bix a solid in this mission, or was it just a happy coinkydink?
I love that because when they had their confrontation at the shop.
You mean, well, you brought me this medallion? Confrontation.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so Andor basically threatened, we've got to take care of Bix. And so I think that, Luthen's already seeing that Bix is in trouble with this sleep aid that she's using. And so, it's certainly not going to solve Bix's trauma problem, but it might help her get her back in the game, which is all Luthen really cares about.
100%.
Because Andor's, Cassian's really important to him too, and Cassian's not going to be in the game unless Bix is. So I love that. I love your headcanon there, even though we didn't see it on screen. I think it is heavily implied.
All right, listeners, what do you think? Was Luthen trying to help out Bix by staging this mission on Dr. Gorst, or was it Gorst is going to be able to crack these rebels who get arrested too quickly? We got to kill him to save the rebellion. What do you think? All right, Matt, I got another question for you, and this is just because, as we all know, our non-existent host this week, Catfish, can vote in the Emmy Awards. And it has come out that Disney is going to submit certain actors for certain awards from Andor. So Diego Luna will be the only one submitted for lead actor in a drama. The ones submitted that Disney's going to submit for Best Drama Supporting Actress are Adrienne Ahona, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, for Bix, Elizabeth Delau for Kleya, Denise Goff for Dedra, Faye Marcy for Vel, Genevieve O'Reilly for Mon Mothma. For Best Supporting Actor in a Drama, they're going to submit Muhammad Bayer as Wilmon, Kyle Solar, who plays Syril, and Stellan Skarsgård, who plays Luthen. Then they're also going to submit a guest actor on a drama. They're going to submit Ben Mendelsohn for Krennic and Forrest Whitaker for Saw Gerrera. So if that's who's Disney is submitting, of those, Matt, who you going to choose on your Emmy ballot? Let's hear it.
Yeah, if I had an Emmy ballot, I would definitely make the following choices.
Okay, let's hear it.
I would choose Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma because nobody can act like she's dancing with trauma in her brain the way that Genevieve did with that. That was fantastic. With the Best Supporting Actor, I'm going Luthen. I'm going Stellan Skarsgård because he's just fantastic and has been. And I don't know if I would have said this before. I mean, I love Ben Mendelsohn, but after episode 5, I gotta give it to Forrest Whitaker. I love Saw Gerrera. I love Saw Gerrera in Clone Wars. He's just crazy enough and extreme enough, and Forrest Whitaker has really taken this and just milked it to a place where, I'm so scared of that guy, but I love him too,
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, I want to love him from a distance. Matt, mine are the same as yours. Let me say that I think all of these nominees are deserving. They are all given great moments. We're talking about Vel in this episode, the actress Faye Marcy. She isn't in it much, right? Like she kind of only appears at the end of episode 5. She does get a big moment in episode 6 and a big monologue at the end of episode 6, but she's great. But if I have to pick one, Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma is just so incredible what she's doing. It makes you want to, the next Star Wars for Adults show should be about Mon Mothma, maybe forming the New Republic after the Return of the Jedi. She's incredible, man. Incredible.
Absolutely. And this is no slight on our boy Syril.
No.
He's been fantastic these 3 episodes too. I actually found myself rooting for him. I can't believe it.
No boy. Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, tough it's been a weird set of episodes for me. But yeah.
Listeners, who are you going to nominate on your Emmy ballot? If you're on YouTube, leave a comment. Social media at Double PHQ. Here we go. Now, Matt, one thing that you like to keep your podcast a bit classier than we keep ours, and that is Catfish and I, maybe because we think our listeners like it. Listeners, tell us if you're right. We always play an MFK. So this week, we've got Andor MFK. Now, I'm going to limit myself to a one storyline because there's so many wonderful choices. And this week, I'm doing the the Imperial Expo edition. So my female FMK, I'm going to marry Mon Mothma. But wait, no, I can't do that to Perrin. I love Perrin. So I'm going to have to marry Davos Skulden's wife.
Why not just marry Perrin?
You know what? Hold on, Matt. Don't give away a spoiler. So I'm going to go ahead and F Kleya because she is no nonsense. She knows what she wants. That would be hopefully fun. And then I'm going to kill the ISB spy driver who still drives Mon and Perrin around in their thing. But then because I'm a sexist man thinking about these women, I decided to do a male edition of the Imperial Expos. So I want to marry Perrin, but I'd worship him too much. So instead, I'm going to marry Krennic because he has a steady job and he's also away from work for work all the time. So I would have fun at home and wouldn't have to worry about him. I'm going to F Lonnie, who is a chicken there at the expo when Kleya needs him, but he's a real good guy at the ISB. So I'm going to F him. Then I'm going to kill the same person, the ISB spy driver for Mon and Perrin. That's my FMK. Matt, you're a special guest, so we're going to let you pick across all of Andor. Let's hear your FMK.
Well, thank goodness. If I'm going to dive into the gutter, it better be wide. And let's see. I'm going to marry Bix. And why? Man. Because the mission is dinner.
Hey,
that's why I'm going to marry Bix.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm all about is eating food, Val.
Heck yeah.
So definitely worth a marry there. Because I want the lights out completely experience, I'm going to be with Dedra for that one.
You get 1 hour. That's it.
It's just like, most of my romantic life.
All right.
And then I don't know who to kill. I could kill anybody. You can kill Krennic. You can kill the dude who brought a blaster to a robbery.
Oh boy, yeah.
I don't like Perrin like you do, so I might have to kill him. Maybe killing Saw would just be the humane thing to do. I don't know. I'm okay. I'm gonna kill Krennic.
All right. You know what?
You know why? Because it's never gonna happen. He's gonna be. We know from Rogue One, it's never gonna happen.
Never gonna happen. But it wasn't a great moment in this episode when Luthen and Kleya are leaving and like, man, we should have killed Krennic when we were up there. Great moment, hilarious moment. Our final quick question is a segment we started in season 1, and it makes no sense other than I have been obsessed with Cassian's sister. This whole story got started on Cassian looking for his sister. We have forgotten about her sister, but the show has not forgotten about Cassian's sister. She was mentioned this week. Bix mentioned Cassian's sister this week. So we love to say this segment is called Who is Cassian's Sister? Or Where is Cassian's Sister this week? Let's hear it, Matt. Who you got for Cass's sister?
And it could be anybody.
Yes.
We saw her at the party, right? She had to be at the party at the exhibit. Had to be, because I just think that's the case. Or I could go the other way and I could just say, well, Cassian's sister got into bleaching her hair, and it's Dedra.
Whoa, that is one of the few female characters Cassian hasn't interacted with yet. So that is a good call, Matt. I'm going to say for this week, the show has broken me. The fact that Bix mentioned his sister, I'm like, you're trying to tease me. You're trying to get me to fall back in and believe this sister's going to be in the show. I don't believe she's in the show. I keep trying to get out. You keep trying to pull me back in. So I'm going to go against everything I've said up until this point. We'll never see Cassian's sister again. Listeners, what do you think? Do you think she'll be in it? What do you think, Matt? Will we ever see her in these final 6 episodes?
I doubt it.
Hey, if you are watching on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that like. Please comment. This is an interactive podcast. We love to hear from you. And if you can, subscribe. If you're on audio podcast listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you get audio podcasts, please subscribe. Please write to us on social media at WPHQ. We want you to go with us. All right, Matt, we got 4 big storylines that we can tackle. We've got Saw and Wilmon and their thing. We have Bix. Bix really has a story to herself this week about, going past, the shell shock and trauma she's had. We've got Luthen and Kleya have a bug problem. And of course, we've got all the craziness on Ghorman. What do you want to tackle first this week?
Well, what do you think the listeners want to hear first? I think we should try to think about that.
Okay.
I think because it was the ending moment, we should just go ahead and talk about Bix's getting her revenge because
I love it. Love it.
There's a whole lot of stuff going on there with this poor girl. The dreams have continued. Everything keeps going on. She's having to self-medicate in order to, try and just negotiate this terrible trauma that she's been through. And as I said earlier, this act isn't going to fix it for her, or it shouldn't. You wouldn't think that it would, but it certainly ain't going to make it any worse.
What you would hope, and I'm not, Carl Jung, I've not studied dreams, I don't know Freud, but if you're in a dream and Dr. Gorst is gone because you made him gone, is that anyway going to make the dream more palatable, more easy to get through? Like, would your subconscious mind not dream about Dr. Gorst because he's gone? I think it's a great question, but what do you think?
Well, on the other hand, as Luthen said, when she started self-medicating, he told her that the stuff she was using, when she stopped, would actually make the dreams worse. So will this help it not be as worse as it could be? Maybe. But I don't think the problem is solved yet by any stretch of the imagination. I'm happy for her. I fist pumped for 3 minutes after I saw that the first time.
Me too. I loved it.
All the way through the credits. I just kept fist pumping. But, but I still feel terrible for what this girl's gone through.
Matt, I'm going to ask you something. Listeners, I ask you this as well. It's almost like the story we're being told is that Cassian loves her, but for a lot of the episode, he wasn't even helping her. Like, she was having this moment release of like, hey, let's go to this little market. Let's buy some food. Let's have a dinner. And she's kind of, for a short moment, letting her guard down. But Cassian in that moment, he's tense. Wait, the guy selling us this stuff is smiling and happy? That's suspicious. And so was Cassian's, we know Cassian killed somebody on their last mission because he saw Bix's face. Is Cassian a negative influence, even though he doesn't mean to be, on Bix's mental state for most of these episodes? What do you think?
I think the thing that I got from it is the fact that Cassian has great intentions, but his overprotectiveness was probably making it worse. Mm-hmm. She's trying to normalize with the dinner and everything. She's trying to normalize by going and walking out in an open air park. And he's the one that's being so, paranoid.
Yeah, there's cameras, man.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, I think that he's not helping the situation at all. But I think that has changed by the end, where he is not only including her in the mission, but he's making the most important part of the mission. He's just cleaning up the evidence with the explosion. So, he just making sure that nobody leaves alive. Right. So
yeah, he's like, Dr. Gorst is, we've traveled to many planets. Dr. Gorst has haunted you here, Bix. He's haunted you here. Well, now his body parts are here and here and here because we blew him up real good. Here's another question for you, Matt. Sorry, I'm keep throwing things out. Because the show is doing these time jumps, and, first 3 episodes was 4 years before the Battle of Yavin. These 3 are 3 years before the Battle of Yavin. Because there are these time jumps, Bix and Cassian, they've become a couple for a lot of ways off screen.
Yeah.
Cassian rescued Bix at the end of season 1, and she was traumatized by this torture from Dr. Gorst. They didn't have many scenes together in the first 3 arcs, the first arc of 3 episodes of season 2. And here they are like married. Does that work for you? It worked for me, but how did it work for you where the kind of them becoming a couple is just implied? We didn't see it.
I'm perfectly fine with filling in the gaps for myself personally. For some people that may bother some people. I don't know if you need to see a significant relationship moment. I think that they're basically telegraphing the real sense of intimacy that they have with those simple shots of them doing the things with the hands.
Oh yeah,
and the beautiful music
Mhm.
that is their theme, I suppose. It's just it works for me. I don't even worry about how it happened anymore. I just know that it's there.
Okay. Well, now I think the audience does know these two care about each other so much. They are in love. Luthen, hopefully not as a foreshadowing question. Luthen has Andor show it up at his antique shop. You're not supposed to do this. You know, Luthen says not to do this.
Yep.
And Luthen states it kind of really coldly. He says, Bix will have to pull it together, or you, Andor, will have to decide at what point it becomes too big a problem. Is he implying that Bix is going to become a Tay-like problem and Cassian's going to have to be the one to stop this Tay-like problem? Because if that's foreshadowing, this is horrific.
Well, Cassian, yeah, exactly. But Cassian also says, well, that's going to be up to you, isn't it? And
Oh, good point. Yeah, he does.
there's also something that Cassian said that really kind of disturbed me.
Oh, let's hear it.
When he told Luthen it would be easier if I was alone.
Yeah.
Or more or less. I'm kind of
Yeah.
paraphrasing there,
No,
but
you're right.
he
Yeah.
did say a line like that, and I was kind of shocked by that. I was like, maybe Cassian could lose Bix at some point if he really believes in the cause that much. We obviously don't see her in Rogue One, so something happens between here and there.
She has suffered so much. You know, listeners, we were asking, who do you think will survive the season? If we were to ask you guys who deserves to survive, you know, who's had it so rough they deserve to survive the series,
Yes.
Bix is one. Mon Mothma's had it rough. Everybody, let's be honest, everybody, maybe except my boy Perrin, has had it rough. And so Bix is up there for who's had it the worst of them all. Bix, as you said, was self-medicating. And that is very, very tough to watch. You know, if somebody's going through trauma because of multiple bits of trauma. I mean, we didn't even touch on the guy who tried to assault her in the
Oh, yeah.
first arc of season 2. You said it would be unrealistic that this wonderful revenge or closing up of Dr. Gorst fixes her. We know the next 3 episodes are a year later. Do you need Bix to still have a bit of shell shock, if you were, from this? Or is it okay if she has almost become her own Cinta? Like, could she turn into a Cinta-like character where it's all kill all the time?
Wow. I'll say one thing about these 1 year later things. I
Yeah.
honestly, when I started this arc, I thought, did I click the wrong episode? Because
Oh yeah, it seems so similar to the first, right? Yeah, yeah.
1 year later, and the Ferrex anvil
Yep.
gong and everything. So I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay. And then it said BBY3. So I knew it was Battle Before the Year had passed. I don't need to see her go to a psychiatrist and recover from this.
Okay.
If she seems recovered somewhat, but still a little troubled by it, I think that would be acceptable. And I mean, I can't speak to psychological troubles or to trauma troubles. I'm a 50-year-old white man. I've never had a trauma in my whole life. I never will.
Knock on wood. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Bix, who, at the very least, I do think is in a better place at the end of these 3 than she was at the beginning?
Yeah. I loved that little smile and nod she gave to Andor when she was walking out.
Yep.
I was fully expecting to see that Imperial that she shot be catfish or something like that.
Yes, listeners, we'll talk about
that's-
Catfish's new role on Apple TV Plus in a bit.
Yeah, but yeah, I feel more relieved for her than I certainly did at the beginning of this arc.
All right. Well, listeners, write to us. Tell us what you want for Bix. Can Bix survive? At Double PHQ on social media. Matt, I'm going to bring us to Saw, just because Saw, I'm pretty sure, is only in these first 2 episodes, and Wilmon in some ways is just an intriguing character. Wilmon, was in a lot of season one, but he didn't have a lot of focus in season one until it's the season one finale. And they had murdered his dad. The Empire had killed his dad. And the finale opens with Wilmon building a darn bomb and throwing a bomb. And so, in a lot of ways, it's quite a natural progression that Wilmon is going to maybe be the most radical of the Cassian's little Ferrex friends, and the one who might naturally gravitate towards Saw's groups and tactics the most. But before we get there, he's almost like a prisoner. We assume Luthen has sent him to Saw to, hey, help Saw with this issue about this Rhydonium, which this is straight from Wikipedia. It's a volatile starship fuel, highly explosive. It's dangerous to salvage, and its fumes are harmful to human health. Or quite a buzz. So if you're Wilmon, I mean, you're still pretty young, and you are going to meet with the most dangerous rebel there is, Saw Gerrera. How do you think Wilmon did on this mission? Ooh.
You talk about deep end.
Oh, yeah.
He got thrown into the deep end, and he decided to see where the bottom was at by taking that mask off. I mean, he swam all the way to the bottom with Saw at the end of that, and I was just like, no, I don't think your lungs can take that. And evidently he could, but is he on a trip now? I hope that he remembers. I hope that he remembers all those variations. They may need to get some other fuel some other time,
right?
Somewhere else.
He's damaged himself so much, right?
Yeah.
Well, Matt, I think there's a interesting way to watch this show, because I think there probably are listeners tell us. I think there are a lot of people who've only watched live action and have only seen, almost got introduced Saw at the beginning, at the end of his story in Rogue One. And then now we're suddenly flipping back, and in the first season of Andor, and now in this, we're almost like seeing how did he become Borgullet, that guy from Rogue One. So for people who haven't watched the animated shows, is his journey clear? Like, did the animated shows get his character to this point, and then now we're seeing how he becomes this completely broken Colonel Kurtz in Rogue One? Tell us about the animated show and Saw Gerrera.
Well, he's a fairly, kind of side character throughout this series of the Clone Wars, but he does some pretty radical things even then.
Oh, okay.
And some of them are quite heroic. I think that there's a lot to admire about Saw, but he's always been kind of, like, the biggest thing I can do, I'm going to do. I'll tell you what, though, at the beginning, when we first saw him and he said, "There she is," I thought that Wilmon was bringing him the creature that he had in the mountain with him,
Borgullet!
Yeah, exactly. The truth creature, the truth octopus.
It'll know if you're telling the truth. How about this? I'm going to jump away from Saw for a second. If Luthen sends Wilmon, who he must know is still in a lot of ways a kid, he can grow a little facial hair. Wilmon is still a kid. Did Luthen know that Saw could just straight up kill him? He pretty much kidnaps him for a bit. And if this one guy he was training hadn't been an Imperial spy, it's obvious Saw would have killed Wilmon.
Hmm. Or he was using that, or he was saying all of that simply to
that's true.
Give Pludius a sense of security.
No, that's true.
That's the thing with Saw, is he's so out there. You don't know how much of it is actually him or it's just him acting like he's out there. But at the same time, as far as Luthen goes, Luthen is about the cause, baby. And I don't know, him and Saw have some tensions on their own, right? We saw that in season 1. So I don't know if he really cares if Saw fails that much. Although I would think that Luthen would keep the bigger picture in mind and say, yeah, we need a dude like that out there doing that kind of thing, lighting fires everywhere so that
that'll burn brightly.
Yeah, that it'll distract from the real things that he thinks should be going on. But yeah, I don't think he cares about Wilmon at all.
Can I go to some of Saw's incredible lines? First and foremost, this was in the middle of all his incredible lines there at the end. But Saw's like, You think I'm crazy. And I wrote in the show notes, I don't know about Wilmon, but I think you're crazy. So you are nuts. Revolution is not for the sane. Look at us. Unloved, hunted, cannon fodder. We'll all be dead before the Republic is back. And yet, here we are. We are the few. We're the thing that explodes when there's too much friction in the air. Let it in, boy. That's freedom calling. Let it in. Let it run wild. Wilmon, why did you take off that mask? I mean, I know this is a good speech, but it's also a good speech from somebody completely gone. Why did Wilmon take off the mask, Matt?
Yeah, well, it's a good question because it certainly wouldn't have inspired me to take off the mask. I'd have been like, "Hey, you go ahead and breathe as much of that as you want. Maybe you'll just go to sleep." That's what I would do. But yeah, man, Saw is just so wild, man, because that story built up so much from earlier when he was, within that scene, but him talking about the itching and all of that stuff that was happening from breathing it in, you know, and them not even realizing what it was yet. And then the experience and the revelation of it all. It's like, man, it's like, where can I go to get a hallucinogen like that? Right. And then I thought, no, I better not.
Well, you know, many states are now legalizing rhydonium. And so, wait, no, sorry. Yeah, listen, I don't have the attachment to Wilmon that I had to Brazos and some of the other characters, but he is a kid.
Really good in this episode.
He's had his dad killed in the first season. He had to leave this girl Bila, who he was really interested in the first arc of season 2. Wilmon, who we do not see in Rogue One, he a lot of people are doomed. Wilmon is high as a kite, and now he may be.
He's hanging out with Saw. I mean, that's all you need to know. It's gonna happen.
Listeners, what's the craziest thing you've ever huffed? No, I'm. Let's jump away and let's go to Luthen and Kleya and their bug. We gotta exterminate this missing bug, and we're gonna also bring in one of my favorite characters, maybe my favorite character, Mothma, and her struggles to do the right thing in this section. So Kleya, and Kleya's always listening to her contraption there in the back of the shop. I always thought she was listening to radio communication, but she must also be listening to recordings. And she's got a bug with everybody's favorite upwardly mobile gangster, Davos Skulden. Davos Skulden, unrelated to Luthen at all, has a piece of art in his gallery that is a forgery. Because of that, hey, we got to inspect all these, have all these recertified. Kleya's like, ruh-roh, not good.
Yeah, that's bad business for her because if everything's got to be inspected, she's got to get that puppy out of there. Not only that, but she has to go to Luthen and say, "You were right."
Yeah, that's worse. That's worse.
That's definitely worse. I couldn't figure out what was cutting her hand when she was trying to get the thing out of there.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it was weird that it was bleeding from the top like that. But I guess, I don't know, maybe the key was digging into the top of her hand or something like that, whatever it was that she was using to try and take it out. But Kleya's just, I loved how the first episode of this arc started with the radio tuning in. And little by little, you would hear just little snippets of the Andor theme as it was passing through the channels. That was so fantastic. And then you go right to her and she's listening in on everything. This girl, I love that she stood up to Luthen a little bit because he's this thing has gotten bigger than he can manage mentally. Yeah.
Luthen is what's funny is he's a leader, but he's not always a cool customer. Kleya, this is a giant risk they have. Yeah. But the whole time she's pretty cool. She's calm. She's like, this is what's going to happen. And I think she's, it's almost like, who do you want in charge? Maybe you want her in charge and not Luthen, right? Because Luthen, I got the rah.
Right. Yeah. Eventually. But he's such a great big thinker. He's seen the big picture about Ghorman. And while Kleya, I see more as the person who can get the big picture done on behalf of Luthen because she is so cool and collected and can do everything. That dynamic, though, is so good. And by the end of the arc, they're all good. Things are back to normal. They're
No
sharing a laugh.
sweat.
They want to kill Krennic together. I mean, it's all
Yes.
good.
Oh, they should have killed Krennic. Let's be
They
honest. History, if history knows anything, they should have killed him. Now,
yeah,
I'm going to briefly mention that this storyline not only touches on Mon Mothma, it touches on a bit of the politicking there at ISB. So earlier in the episode, in one of these episodes, we'd seen that Dedra's assistant from the first season has been moved up. His name's Hurt, Heert, and he's now Supervisor Hurt, and he has a seat at the big table. Before, because he was Dedra's assistant, he actually had to sit behind her at the big and not at the big table, but he's there. The ISB has had 12 raids recently, but it's not yielding much. And Partagas, who I love, Qyburn from Game of Thrones, love Partagas. He's incredible. He's dressing down Hurt. He's dressing down this other Imperial. And Lonnie Young, who is Luthen spy, Lonnie, I think he's doing this. He's like, how can I get more informants? How can I get more information? I'll stand up for these guys at a meeting so they'll feel bonded to me. And Lonnie
right.
says, hey,
Smart.
I'm having trouble because we're arresting too many people. And he doesn't even lay it at them. He says it's my fault. And I think it works. I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that Dedra, who is on Project Ghorman, she's been told, do Ghorman make it a win. At this meeting, when she hears, oh, my old assistant gets to look for Axis, she calls him out in the hall and is like, I want to know, tell me. And he's not telling her stuff. This guy, even though he served for Dedra, now, because of various things, he's loyal to Lonnie, not to Dedra.
Yeah, and Lonnie played his cards really well there because, our lieutenant commander or commander of all of this, he just wanted any option, any answer as to why you can't do this, and Lonnie just put forward the honest answer.
Yep.
And that's the way the room's supposed to work. That character, Pergard, is so cool. I love all these characters so much. I talk too much. I'm sorry.
No, but keep talking. I love him too. He's the best.
I mean, just the way he dresses down people all the time.
Yeah, and remember how Hurt is like, oh, thank you very much, Commander Partagas. And he's like, dude, it's an assignment. Lower your enthusiasm.
Reserve your enthusiasm, please.
Right. I mean, oh my Lord.
The dude is somebody that I fear in the Empire because he's so pragmatic, he's so just good and looking at everything. He's an intelligence guy. He's probably the guy that's feeding Grand Moff Tarkin all the stuff about the rebels later on.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Now, I mentioned I do want to bring Mon into this storyline. Mon, who, so much of the first arc was about her and the wedding and Tay and her daughter. This arc, she doesn't get quite as much to do, but we see her trying to rally senators to her cause. Now, in season 1, because of the Aldhani heist, the Empire did this Port Initiative, which is a way to say anybody commits any minor crime, throw them in jail forever. That's how, Cassian ended up in Narkina 5. And Mon is like, listen, we got to stop this. It's been years. No one will support her, not even Ghorman senator. We see her with this guy, Dasi Oran. And he's like, I can't ruffle, I can't make any waves. I'm trying to keep my head down so they don't do more worse things to Ghorman.
Yeah.
This is tough, man. Tough.
Exactly. And one of the most powerful scenes for me was her standing there in a synod as they're all doing their daily oaths or whatever.
Yes.
And she walks out. I mean, that was a statement, if ever there was one, in the way that she's feeling about that place. And you see that frustration boil over at the party when she's chewing Krennic out. Or going after him a little bit. So
I love that. Do you not love that? Do you not love? Hold on, I got to find the perfect line. She says to Krennic, "Oh, how pleasant to see you free of the witness stand."
Yes.
Snap.
What a diss.
The ice cold. Now, we should also mention, you mentioned it at the top, and let's just have a little bit more about it. The way that this has been reported is that the creator of this show, Tony Gilroy, he gave an interview where he said, he, meaning Jimmy Smits, just wasn't available. It didn't work out. He was doing his other show, and we were under the gun, and we couldn't work it out. Believe me, we really tried, but it couldn't happen. This to me is heartbreaking. I love Jimmy Smits. I think he would have had a lot of fun in these Andor roles, but certainly in the end, I guess I am happy that they didn't try to CGI Jimmy Smith's Bail Organa into it and that they just hired Benjamin Bratt.
I've been watching some of the inside the episode kind of things that they've been putting up on the Star Wars YouTube, and it's incredible the amount that they're trying to avoid using CGI, that kind of thing. Between the practical sets, between the create for these episodes, hiring only French-speaking actors to do these lines that are of a made-up language, but kind of have French flair to it. I mean, they're going to such particulars about the production of this that I don't blame him for saying, no, we couldn't do Jimmy Smith. Would I have given the line to somebody else, a senator that doesn't matter, so that I didn't have to see Benjamin Bratt as Bail Organa? That's probably what I would have done.
Right. Like you could have been like, oh, Senator Smith, not Smith, Senator Bratt from Alderaan. Have you spoken to Bail recently? No, he's busy and I've got to leave too. Yeah, like something like that, I think also would have worked. But, it's
but I had no problem. I mean, look, CBS kept Tom Selleck from being Indiana Jones.
That's true.
They're gonna keep Jimmy Smits from being Bail Organa when they can. That's just the way that goes. And I don't begrudge them. That's the way television contracts and everything.
I think they were filming this 2 years ago, and he still had that show on CBS. I forget the name of it.
He was filming episodes for it and that's the schedule conflict is what really caused the problem. So
heartbreak. Real quickly, you're so tough on Perrin. I hope listeners appreciate my Perrin passion. Perrin, I'm going to tip my cap to him when he's like Perrin, whose whole life is drinking, gambling, having fun. Even he's like, how many of these damn parties do you have? Give it up for Perrin, Matt. How could you?
Well, it was good. Hey, the guy knows how to create a schedule. There's no doubt about that. He managed to whittle that 80 senator dinners down in 3 days. He managed to figure out a schedule where they could still get into Skulden's exhibit at the proper time. So I'll give him credit for that. He's a scheduler. And now that he doesn't have the daughter running around all under his feet anymore, he's got even more time to work on that. Maybe he's frustrated because his daughter's not around anymore. He gave such a great speech to her and her husband.
Thank you for giving Perrin credit. Thank you. I love that. Now, Matt, you just made me think of something in that Lita and her husband, the Skulden boy, I forget, Stecken Skulden, they didn't appear in this episode. And I wonder, here's a little question for you listeners. Like, can you make those actors look 2 or 3 years older? So are we going to see them again in the rest of the show? Like, could you make those actors who do look, at the most like they're 19 or whatever, could you make them suddenly look like they're 3 years older than they did at the wedding? I guess you could. What do you think? Are we going to see Lita and Stecken Skulden again?
Oh, I almost feel like it's got to be some kind of motivation either for Perrin or Mothma to just finally jump over the boat. So I would hate if they just did it off screen and she just gets the news of that kind of thing or what have you. But otherwise, they're off having a nice little married life in Chintilla or whatever.
Do you think they're really having a nice marriage life?
Well, he won't even hold her hand. So
I know. A year later,
there's much danger of anybody else getting hurt. Maybe, I mean, 2 or 3 years later, she'll get a message from her daughter. Look, he held my hand with a little image, or maybe on whatever the HoloNet social media is. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, listeners, let us know all your thoughts on the Kleya and Luthen storyline, as well as Mon and where she's headed. And where the whole show seems headed is Ghorman. We are visiting this planet, I believe, for the first time in live action, possibly for the first time ever. I'm not sure it's been in an animated show. But there are what I would call Ghorman troubles coming on. Ghorman, it is trouble. Now, my boy Syril is there, and how can I enjoy something that I can see is pointed towards horrific terribleness? My boy Syril is having a Skype with his mom and pretty much telling his mom, listen, You're watching too much Fox News. I mean, watching too much Imperial News, Mom. Chill out. It is,
Eh,
Mom. Don't become too much of an individual, Syril. Oh, Edie and Syril, solid gold. That's all I can say. I can say, Edie getting her hair done. I cackled, Matt. I cackled at how hilarious this is.
well, my whole thing was just in the very first scene of them two together, where she's going, "I can't see you. You're looking at the wrong thing."
Yeah.
I mean, it's so adorable, and the fact that Cyril is like, so finding himself to be so important. He's doing all the Dedra's got him trained pretty good in the course of a
Oh
year.
boy.
He's
Oh
working
boy.
it, baby.
You,
And
you want that hour alone, you got to put in the work.
completely in the dark.
In the dark, baby.
Cheryl has been in the dark most of the time, most of his life.
Yeah, sadly,
so
yeah.
he's pretty used to it. But the whole idea of him just, I mean, 000 Karn, Cyril Karn.
Hey, now.
This dude is my hero now. Like he's the hero that the Empire deserves. I would have never said that in season 1. Now I'm saying it. This, and he knows when to get down when shots are fired. Thank God,
yeah.
one shot.
Yeah.
But he knows when to get down and to report it. And I mean, Dedra's got him trained well. And
did you fall for this at all? I'll be honest, I did not. When Syril is telling his mom, "Hey, Ghorman, it's fine. It's these are fine people. You stop believing this stuff." I knew immediately he was a double agent, and it heartbroke me. My heart was broken to see these Ghormans fall for it, Matt. Oh, terrible.
Oh man, I'm a bad fan then, because I honestly thought, oh, is this going to a place where Cyril's going to turn?
I think it might, but not right now. He ain't turning right now at all. He's having the time of his life, Matt. So we meet this. I do have to give a shout out. So we meet this Ghorman rebel leader who's Caro Rylance, and this actor is actually he's of German descent. He's playing one of these French specific aliens of Ghorman, but he played the character Eichhorst on one of our first podcasts about the strain, and we had this great feedback on Twitter at Chris Drink W on Twitter. Said, "I loved seeing Eichhorst make an appearance on Andor. It might be a time for a Strain rewatch along with your podcast." And I wrote back to Chris and was like,
"Oh, don't.
The Strain is not worth it."
Oh, don't do it.
I'm
surprised this guy didn't come out and say, "Hey, got milk?"
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I was going to say The Strain is the title of the show and what it takes to watch the entire series. So anyway, he is a leader. And they approach Syril, and even when they discover, hey, he used to be a corpo on Morlana 1, I thought, ooh, maybe they'll know he's a double agent. No, they just thought, oh, this will make him hate the ISB, so we should trust him even more. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh boy.
They're pretty much amateurs there on Ghorman. They just let spiders spin silk and then they thread it together. They've never had to deal with anything like this. And I understand that Luthen's like, we've got to let them burn brightly.
Oh, well, I'm going to pause you right here, Matt, because I think this is a question a lot of people have. And so, we are jumping around a bit in this storyline, but Cassian goes undercover. He meets with this guy, Caro, who I was talking about. He meets Caro's, what I consider cute little daughter, Enza, woman, Enza. And Cassian comes away from it. Not that they don't have passion, but these guys are not ready for prime time rebellion fighting. And he tells Luthen this, like, hey, we shouldn't do this. This will just end in disaster. Mm. And admittedly, we know they're being set up. But Luthen doesn't care. He's like, if it goes, it'll burn bright. Just think of having Ghorman, a planet like Ghorman, fighting the Empire too. How it'll be a rallying cry for other planets. And so,
even if it only lasts 30 seconds,
oh boy,
which it probably will, because that's the plan, right? The plan is to get for the ISB. The plan is for Dedra and Kronig and what's the guy's name? Starts with a P.
Partagaz.
For them, the plan is to literally make it so the Empire has an excuse to come in and take control and gather up whatever that energy source is that they need for the Death Star, right? Mm-hmm. So it's all fallen into play. But for Luthen, I totally understand. He's playing chess on 4 levels, baby. He's thinking
Well,
about what this looks like from
who
the
is right?
outside.
Who is right in this instance, though? Ignore the knowledge we know. If you're just Cassian and you're just Luthen and you know what you know, who's right? Because I have to be honest, I lean on Cassian a bit on this.
Yeah.
They aren't ready for prime time. They
Well,
are. They're frustrated, but Cassian said it. You wanna disrupt a supply tractor to prove what you already know? What's the point?
that's true. However, I think Luthen's line saying "you're thinking like a soldier, think
Okay.
like a leader"
All right.
was much more an important line than you're giving Cassian's thinking process. You know,
Well, listeners, I let you. Who's right in this instance, Cassian or Luthen? And I know it's the overriding knowledge we have as TV viewers, overrides everything about this place is doomed. Like every no matter what you do, you're going to play into the Empire's hand, and
yeah.
so tough. Now, I love a million little moments in this, and one of the
Mm.
little moments is when Caro says he's trying to convince Syril, hey, join with us, Syril, support us, Syril, be a good guy, Syril, support us, Gorbans. When he tells Syril, many of us think the Emperor has no idea what's being done on his behalf. And I love that line for so much because if you're the Emperor, isn't that almost the perfect thing you want? You are doing the most evil things in the world, and yet even the people you're oppressing don't want to blame you. Now, was Caro saying that just to get Syril's sympathy, or do you think like people believe the Emperor is being puppeted by other people? Like, what do you think the galaxy thinks?
Uh, you have a guy. You have a guy who used emergency powers to stay in power for
Yep.
a long time, and now has reorganized the entire republic into an empire in order to stay in power for a while longer. I don't think there's any question that anybody. I think everybody's too scared to even entertain the thought that anybody but the emperor is behind this.
Well, so he's just saying it because he's like this guy. He works for the Bureau of Standards. We can't insult the Emperor to him. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I see it.
Okay.
Now,
Um,
his daughter also has a great line because Cassian, as I mentioned, Cassian meets with him and he's like, I could be ISB. You don't know anything. What are you doing? And she's like, you're trying to tell me to be cautious, but it's hard to be patient when your world is falling apart. And that's true. You don't blame them
mm,
for being like, they're taking over our planet. They're building a frigging armory here that is going to cover the memorial from the last time they came and killed a bunch of us. I mean,
all
whoa.
right. Yeah. No, I think that those people that are in the resistance, I understand they're being so desperate. I understand Andor's wanting them to be more cautious in hopes that they will be more successful because he is thinking like a soldier. But I also understand Luthen's point of view of no, let them be desperate. We need that spark to our cause. We
Oh
need
boy.
that attention to our cause.
Let me put it this way. I think there's going to be a pretty damn big spark. I think they
That's
got
a
some
lot
stuff.
of there's a lot of energy in that planet.
A lot of
So
calcite. A lot of
mm,
calcite's going to be sparking. Um, let's flip to the Empire side.
okay.
We assume they are playing this perfectly. I mean, Syril is over the moon. When he gets praise from Partagaz and Partagaz leaves the room, Syril tells his woman, he's like, if I say this is the greatest day of my life, does it spoil everything?
I
And
love the
Dedra,
look.
yeah, Dedra, who knows he doesn't know quite everything, just kind of bites her, tongue and says, "It's good to see you happy." So, is Partagaz, Dedra, and I guess to a way, Cyril, are they doing everything perfect, or do they have their blinders up too? What do you think?
Well, I think the only way that this really goes wrong for the three of them is if
Mhm.
Cyril finds out the deeper
Yes,
plan. If he
yes.
finds out the deeper plan, then everything's going to be crazy.
Don't you think he has to, though? It's like almost for a drama, Syril has to. I don't know if it's before, during, or after, the
Right.
crackdown that's going to come on these Ghormans, but I think Syril has to find out.
Yeah.
Unless it kills him, unless the whole blunder kills him. Mm.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that logically, for the story to make any sense, you don't bring up the fact that you're betraying someone over and over, or deceiving someone over and over and over again, unless you have the intention of the person finding out that they're being deceived. So yeah, it's going to happen. How Cyril's going to be so he's going to, you know what? Cyril's
Yeah.
such a good dude.
Thank you.
He's just gonna run home to mom, to Edie.
Yeah.
He's gonna curl up on his little bed, ask for some of his cereal,
Yeah. Give me
and
my
and
spider back, Mom.
and he's gonna say she hurt my feelings, and it wasn't even dark.
The lights on. She hurt my feelings with the lights on, Matt.
Yes.
We do have to get to the other couple besides Cyril and Dedra in this story, and that's Vel and
Oh,
Cinta. And I just want to be completely honest. I don't know spoilers. I don't know anything. But when the actress who plays Cinta is suddenly cast as the new Doctor Who's, I forget what they call them on Doctor Who.
companion.
Companion, thank you. When she's cast as Doctor Who's new companion, kind of around the same time both of these seasons are filming, I'm like, oh boy, this does not look good for Cinta. And Cinta, as I said at the very top of this podcast, Cinta did a lot of things for the rebellion. Her death didn't help the rebellion at all. And it could break Vel, who is, say what you want about Vel. Vel is a very good fighter for the rebellion too. So they could be losing two good fighters, not just one. What did you think of this? This couple has been kind of they were on a break for quite a long time. Right when you think they can get back together.
Right, and that was the clue, right? That something
Yeah.
was going to happen to one or the other, because as soon as they reconcile, then something has to happen to dissolve that, because they wouldn't have had them be apart for so long. At least in my mind, as far as storytelling goes.
Right. Well, at
So
the end of episode 3 this season, where
she
they
saw
see, yeah,
her with Cinta with Tay. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Wow. Yeah, and that was such an honest exchange, and it was so beautifully scored when they finally started talking to each other. Well, they really, even when they were talking to each other in the cafe,
yeah.
but then when they were really open, after surveying everything, and really talking it out. Oh man, that just made it that much harder for me at the end of the episode. It may have seemed pointless, but if the point was to break my heart, then they managed to do it, especially with Vel's speech to dude with the blaster.
No, that was incredible. Before that, I do want to give up one minor, 3-second stunt when they had Vel jump off the roof and then fall down onto the transport and roll across the transport. I was like, oh man, this is a great little stunt you got
Yeah, that's
here.
good stuff. Yeah, what a move. It
What a
worked
move.
perfectly. Exactly.
Now, speaking of working perfectly again, the Empire doesn't really care. They don't care that this transport got hit. What they care about is now that the transport got hit, it gives them an excuse to crack down even harder on Ghorman. It
And
is
not
a
even yet, it seems like.
right,
It
yeah,
seems
not
to
even as
me they're
bad as
kind of,
it's going to be. Yeah.
yeah, they're kind of just like, we want to give them confidence so that they'll try something bigger. And that's when we'll have the excuse to go in there and just knock everything out. Um, what a play, man. I mean, this is worthy of Palpatine.
Hey, there you go.
It's a heck of a
All
Game
has
of
happened as
Thrones
I
kind of.
foreseen.
Yeah, I mean, this is Luthen territory in terms of just manipulation. Fantastic. Yeah, love it.
I want to talk about that. There's a good bit of lore that happens in this. So I'm getting this secondhand, folks. I haven't gone through Wikipedia to confirm this. But apparently, in the old Legends canon, meaning some of the books and comic books that were written before Lucas sold the whole company to Disney, the original version of the Gorman Massacre happened 2 years after the Empire was formed and the Emperor took control. And in that massacre, Governor Tarkin, Grand Moff Tarkin, landed a starship on top of Gorman citizens. He didn't care. He's like, you got to protest? I'll just drop my starship on top of you. Then in either Rebels or Clone Wars, well, no, excuse me, it would have had to have been Rebels. they moved the Ghorman massacre up to 2 years before the Death Star happened. And so now what the show has seemingly done is said, hey, you know that Legends Ghorman massacre about Grand Moff Tarkin landing a starship on a bunch of protesters? That did happen. But also the Ghorman massacre that happened in Rebels, it's also happened. So interesting bit of continuity inclusion there. And I guess I like it. I like, if we can't have Jimmy Smits, make this make sense.
I was almost under the impression that there were two events by the way that the show made it sound, that this show made it sound. So I'm cool with that. You can say that there was the Moff Tarkin one, which the
memorial, right? Yeah,
the bellhop was telling Varian Sky about, and then there's the other thing, which I mean, let's give Grand Moff Tarkin credit for both. Come on.
If you want to put fear into the people, Grand Moff Tarkin is one of your best. Who you going to call?
Everybody else is far too trusting. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm cool with it. I'm cool. I don't care if people want to pick it apart to the point where it's a continuity thing or not. Don't care. There can be two events. That's fine with me. And it seemed to me that the show implied that there was. So that's cool.
Pretty cool. All right. Those are the big four storylines, listeners. Once again, we love you interacting. If you have any thoughts or comments on stuff we've said, go down in the comments and tell us. And in fact, why not vote for, get ready, it's time for the most valuable rebel. We've watched season 2, episode 4, 5, and 6. Matt Murdock, who are you going to name as the most valuable rebel of these 3 episodes?
I mean, Saw Gerrera, man. That bit at the end of episode 5? Smoking. Even smoking on the insides of Wilson's lungs. But smoking. That was... I was ready to huff some Rilo myself.
Whoa.
Righto, whatever.
I was going to say, that's true. If you can talk people into burning their lungs and face and skin, you are pretty valuable. But I'm going to give it up to Cassian. I do think, and I've kind of already said it, I do think Cassian was right in that I'm thinking like a soldier. And this soldier sees a bunch of people who aren't ready to be rebels yet. So I'm giving it up to Cassian. I think Cassian, if he had stayed, which of course he didn't want to do, he would have caught on to Syril real quick and realized, hey, you're being fed false information. He kind of assumed it anyway. Cassian, he's my rebel of the week. But now, here we go. It's time for our most valuable Imperial, our MVI of these 3 episodes. I'll go first in this. And Matt, there's one character who helped the Imperial cause more than any other character.
Okay.
Edie. Edie was not told.
Nobody the hairstyle?
No. Listen to me. When Syril is Skyping his mom, when he's FaceTiming his mom, nobody went to Edie and said, hey, Edie, talk a lot of trash about Ghorman. She was just naturally doing it.
It's got an instinct, man.
Right, because she watches OAN a bit too much, Edie was helping the Empire without even realizing how much she was helping the Empire, helping her son get into the Ghorman Front. For that, Edie Karn, you are my most valuable Imperial this week. Matt, who you got?
Okay, Bubba. I mean, I guess you could technically give Edie the credit because she is the one who spawned the actual most valuable Imperial. Spawned. So the most valuable Imperial this arc was indeed Agent 000 Karn, Syril Karn. This dude is good at this.
He is.
I had no idea he would be this good at this. Like I said, Dedra trained him up, and he is following protocol. He is doing everything right. He's got those suckers sucked out. Yep. They don't suspect him at all.
No.
And he's watching it all happen down. He's getting film. He's getting faces. Did he get a picture of Vel's face?
Oh boy, we don't know. That would be trouble if he did. Mon Mothma's cousin doing this.
Mothma's cousin. The dude is just he's a gold mine.
He is. Listeners, let us know who is your MVR and MVI of this second arc of Andor Season 2. Now it's time for the Mandolicious Line of the episode. This is something a character said that's either funny or badass. Matt, what is your option for some of the Mandolicious lines of these 3 episodes?
Wow. Okay, so we're doing a funny one first.
Sure.
Let's see. I kind of like the perfect timing of them saying we should have killed Critic
Yes.
while
Oh
we
my
were
God.
up there.
That was perfect.
Because
That was
that
perfect.
was like, yeah. Why didn't you?
I know. Why didn't you? I had the exact same thought, and I thought it as I was giggling at that line, which I thought was
Exactly.
great.
Yeah. I thought
Now,
that was fun.
My boy Perrin had a great one. He's like, boy, it's really tough squeezing a whole year of insincerity into 3 nights.
That's
And
almost a diss too.
I know. Well, how about Mon saying somehow you'll manage it? Mon dissing. I already mentioned this one. Mon dissing Krennic, saying how pleasant to see you free of the witness stand. Ouch. But then I'm giving it up to my MVI of these 3 episodes, Edie, as the funny Mandalicious line. Her telling her son when her son gave her one of these spiders, she's like, I'll name him Syril. It's almost like I have you here. How could you?
Oh, the perfect diss.
We also
I'm
have
not.
badass, Matt. Would you have a
Uh,
badass line? Do you have any options for Mandalicious badass line of the episode?
well, I can't spout off the whole 2 minute monologue, but Vel dressing down Blaster Boy.
100%. 100%. You are so right.
That was just incredibly and so well performed because she's
Yeah.
just so heartbroken. She's in shock. Uh, all of those things came through that, and yet it was so correct. It's just no wonder the dude cried. She made me cry talking like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You better remember this, you moron.
Yeah.
Okay, well now it's ready for Catfish to sing. Andor, what's
What's that
the
secret you're
keeping?
keeping?
Andor, what's that secret you're keeping?
This
Yeah.
is where we say, hey, what question do you want answered in the next arc, in the next few episodes? Or what do you need explained about this episode? Matt, do you have a secret or question you want answered?
Well, I have an Andor an answer.
Sure.
Answer.
Easy for you to say.
But nobody noticed it.
Oh, let's see.
Okay, so and this goes back to the prior arc, but also to this arc. Music at parties are fucking bangers, man.
Bangers, Matt.
I've talked about it already in this episode, but my gosh, some of that stuff is like I want to sample it to do hits for the next, whoever comes up big. They're so good. And the one at the end of the first arc at the wedding,
Oh yeah,
nobody noticed that was microtonal.
what's
Nobody noticed.
microtonal, Matt?
Yeah, that the harmony was actually out of tune by about 14 to 15 cents. Like between the note C and C sharp on a piano, there's only, it's just one note to the next. But there's a whole bunch of tones in between there. And they're divided into 100 little bits called cents.
Okay.
And the whole melody was about 14 cents, sometimes sharp, and 14 cents, sometimes flat. And I thought that was a perfect way to illustrate how this music is not it's not our bangers that we're at a rave with. It's something that's beyond that. There's an artist by the name of Jacob Collier who actually does all of his a cappella arrangements and uses microtones to modulate the keys that don't exist, like G half sharp or B half flat. And the fact that this was used, and I'm not even sure if this was, I think that this was not Bottrell. I think this was the guy who replaced him. You wouldn't notice that the composer was replaced in any of these episodes.
Matt, that was a question I was going to ask you. For listeners who have not seen one of our podcasts that Matt is one of our regulars on, Matt is a musical expert, toured around the world as a musician. And Matt, this is very odd. Because of those strikes you were mentioning, the writer's strike and the actor strike, they had to replace the guy who was doing the score. So, I'm too ignorant. I couldn't tell. You're an expert. Could you tell?
No. Okay. First of all, Brandon Roberts is the composer who's doing the majority of this. There's still some stuff of Nicholas Petrillo's that's being used.
Right,
in
the
episodes.
first season guy, right.
Yeah, Nicholas Petrillo and he did a magnificent job, and he really established this stuff. But I remember seeing an interview with Gilroy saying, he didn't really miss not being able to have Petrillo that much because this guy just kind of filled in the shoes and just made it even a little bit bigger. And this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. It still feels like Nicholas Petrillo's score. It just feels less like Nicholas Petrillo's arrangement. It feels less like his orchestrations, and it feels much more cinematic in a way. But it's still those fantastic themes that you just, man, this Brandon Roberts guy, and I think he's won an Emmy. I'm not sure what for, but I'd never heard of him, and I'm super impressed with the dude.
Excellent. Listeners, do you love the music? I think you do. That rave at the wedding, incredible. Let us know. And hey, we love asking you so many questions right now. We're going to get to your feedback. We have feedback on the first arc, episodes 1, 2, and 3, but we also have feedback on these new episodes 4, 5, and 6. Gen X Cat Mom, all mod cons on Blue Sky. Matt, she's following your footsteps. She gave these 3 episodes 9.5 out of 10 triple C's and double B's.
Wait, triple C's and double B's.
Cassian cape costumes and badass Bix. Cassian is channeling Luthen's art dealer vibe when he's undercover, and Bix's revenge was delicious. Wait a minute, she says Syril was competent? ? When Dedra told him to turn out the lights, I pictured them like metal pots clanging together, clinical and dry. Now, come on, how could you?
And this, if you remember, was my winner of the earlier part because, being in the dark is fun. So Xmash on Threads said something that I think we can all relate to. The tension aged me several years.
Yeah, this show can do tension. That is for sure. Yeah. And speaking of that, here, J2850 on Threads said, from 10 minutes into the very first episode of this arc, my pulse was racing. I love the little laugh between Kleya and Luthen as they left the party and said they should have killed Krennic. Every character in every episode got significant growth. It was too much to process. I need 6 rewatches. Well,
yeah.
Oh, now this next person, Matt, read this.
Ocean Jackal on Threads says, love Saw Gerrera ending scene the most. With you. Totally with you on that. This is not good when I endorse somebody else's thoughts usually. So be careful, but with you. Totally. That scene. Oh, man. So good.
Dooley's Left Leg, a longtime loyal listener who's at Dooley's Left Legs on Twitter, said he's only watched the first episode of this arc, but he's glad everyone's favorite mother got in another appearance, even if it's over FaceTime. Another Edie lover. Thank you, Dooley's. Hell yeah.
We love you, Dooley's. Liness on 9 Corner on Threads says, rebellions are not for the sane. Exactly. That's why you need a guy like Saw Gerrera around.
The Wandering Brewer on Threads said this arc he felt was definitely tighter storytelling than the first arc of season 2. It dialed up the suspense, and there's our key word. I'm going to ring the bell. Tension. Heck yeah.
Tension. Everybody's using that word. Zach Schickel on Threads also says Forrest Whitaker as Saw needs his own show. No kidding. That's what I think. The man gives a masterclass in acting every time he's on screen.
Oh, well, I'm pitching a Mon Mothma show. Here's Zach's pitching a Saw Gerrera show. Yeah. Shelby Wan Kenobi on Thread said, I need to rewatch because I was stressed and I couldn't follow everything. Well,
it happens. It does happen. Bashado on Threads also says it was a miracle.
Rich Imander on Thread says, as a lifetime Star Wars fan, this is the best stuff since Empire Strikes Back. Can't believe I just sat through nearly 3 hours of such total quality. Wow.
Amen. Yadarki on Thread says brutal and tense, but so good.
Tense, I'm ringing the bell. And then finally on the feedback on these 3 episodes, Mad Typist says, love them. Even though they were so, get ready, tense. It literally made me sick to my stomach. Oh, wow. People love these episodes. Let's get your feedback on the first three. And it's a longtime loyal listener, Harley Camille, Cam Shea 23 on Threads. She said, about the first three episodes, she said, I'm excited and nervous to see where Andor goes. The first few episodes were slow, but episode 3 I really enjoyed. It was hilarious watching Andor trying to fly that ship. She said she gave this arc 9 out of 10 shitty ship flyings. And she said B2 is like a sad puppy, made me want to cry. Oh,
I guess they never got to go back to get B2.
we need to B2 back. We need B2 back, Matt.
Yes, we absolutely
Another
do.
longtime loyal listener, Mesocat, who I'm pretty sure is Laura McMillian, our longtime wonderful listener on Blue Sky, said, the first 3 episodes were a great start to season 2. It'll be interesting to watch where the separate plot lines converge as the series goes on. She gave episode 1 and 2 an 8 and a 7 respectively, but she gave episode 3 of this second season a big fat 10 out of 10 for everything that went on in it. Woo! Thank you, Laura.
We got some comments on YouTube also from, I suppose, from your and Catfish's video last week.
Yep.
I can't believe you guys didn't mention the only stormtrooper in the galaxy who actually aims when they shoot. You are so correct, Jewel.
Thank you, Jewel. Blake said, I started watching Apple TV show Government Cheese and saw someone very familiar looking. Good job, Catfish. That's right. If you have Apple TV, you watch the beginning of episode 1 of the show Government Cheese, and you'll see Catfish appearing in that episode. Wani Hopwood, like Jewel, another longtime loyal listener, mentions that the actress who plays Bix is in that TV show Good Omens. And she says, I think you guys will enjoy it. I watched that last episode, Rick's Road, about a dozen times like you too, Bubba. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Excellent. And Caroline, is that Coach Carjo?
Yeah, it sure is.
All right. Just says yay because you've got a video out. And Shirley 777 says, this is my favorite thing in the world, Star Wars and the Rebellion. Dedra rocks.
Whoa.
Makes me like the Empire for the first time ever in decades. I wonder if Syril tailors Dedra's uniforms too.
You know it, Shirley.
Best Star Wars couple
ever.
Well, better than, I mean, Han Solo and Leia? Come on.
I say, Shirley, we're going to wait till the final episode of season 2. But we'll vote if they're the best couple. Dennis, we love all these loyal listeners, said the Imperial sturdy hyperdrive equipped armed to the teeth experimental TIE fighter of the first couple episodes is a TIE Avenger, apparently appropriated from a Star Wars video game. The Imperials abandoned the design because its over-engineered control systems were too complicated, as Cassian proved, as opposed to the regular TIE fighter pilots. Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, that's great trivia there for that. I would have never known that. I just thought it was cool looking.
It was. It is.
SN says, I was going through withdrawals after Silo ended. I'm so glad I found you love bugs for Andor.
Oh, thank you.
He's not talking about me.
Well, he will be. The SNL will be next week. SN has given us lots of feedback, as has Zephyr Cat. We love loyal listeners. Zephyr Cat wrote, I'm so glad the Parsec Passion podcast is back. She gave the first arc 9 out of 10 double M's.
Double M's?
Mom Mothmas.
Oh.
Mon Mothma tried to help. Zephyr Cat is gold here. She says, Mon Mothma tried to help bratty, ungrateful Lita and was rebuked. How cool was that long tracking shot of? Oh, it was. We didn't even talk about it, but in episode
the set.
1,
that set was huge.
What? Now, Zephyr Cat says, I believe Miss Skulden put something in the drink, and that's why Mon was dancing so hard. Wow. Well, Mon, after, silently accepting that her longtime friend Tay had to die, she might have wanted something in her drink. Zephyr Cat ends by saying, I'm mad about Brazos. Grrr. Me too, Zephyr Cat. Heck yeah.
We all are. We all are. Thank you for all of that wonderful feedback. Hey, Bubba.
Yeah.
I know that you've been trying to put some of these episodes into kind of like this ultimate master list.
We're trying.
Yeah. Just give me a general idea. I know that you guys will probably do a big show later with this, but where in the range would these episodes go as compared to all of the great episodes of the series or the seasons or the shows or the movies or wherever.
Well, to give you an idea, in our giant ultimate list of the greatest video, live action, I should point out, Star Wars stuff ever, we have Empire Strikes Back 1, A New Hope 2, The Force Awakens, this is my personal one, Attack Me 3, Revenge of the Sith, this is personal 4. I have The Mandalorian episode 14, where Boba Fett kicked butt and Grogu got taken. It was entitled The Tragedy. Next, I have Mandalorian episode 16, The Rescue, where Luke returned and helped save Grogu at the end of season 2. I have that next. But then I have Andor's season 1 finale, Rick's Road. That is where it is in my ultimate, that's where the first Andor thing is in my ultimate Star Wars list. I'm going to have to think about these a bit more. Again, I'm going to be honest. Hopefully, Matt, you did a good job of selling that, hey, people like Brazos and Cinta were not, they may not have gotten to the top of Normandy Beach in D-Day invasion, but
they were there.
They were there. And so hopefully that turns, it makes me like these a bit more. But the depressing part of it, right now, they would still be kind of in the middle of my ultimate Star Wars list. How about you?
That's fair. No, these definitely, first of all, the top of your list is very flawed, but I'm not going to say anything about that. But these would definitely be in my top 20. I think almost definitely the third episode of this arc, season 2, episode 6, would be in my top 20 for sure.
All right. Well, hey, thank you guys for listening to the Parsec Passion Podcast. Matt, if people want to tell you thank you for all the music and question your thoughts on this episode, how can people reach you on social media?
You can always question me by finding me on Blue Sky only. I'm not anywhere else anymore. Matthew Murdick, that's 2 T's, MURDICK, .bsky.social, which is Blue Sky.
Heck yeah. My name's Bubba. You can find my personal account at Fit and Trim. That's FITTENTRIM at Fit and Trim on social media. And of course, to reach any of us here at the podcast, you can always reach out to @PHQ on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook, probably other things I'm forgetting. And thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week as we break down the third arc of season 2 on the Parsec Passion Podcast.